Our next speaker is called Subby Angelov, and he is going to talk about how meetings actually kills people. Subby is in the IT industry for like 20 years, so he must have something pretty interesting to say. He is working from 10 years in a company called Nemetschek. This is one of the first sponsors of HackConf, like all the way down to the first edition of HackConf. So they're always behind us, always supporting us. So please, your warm welcome for Subby Angelov from Nemetschek.
Hello? A colleague of mine once shared with me his concern about new project. And his concern was whether the new project will require a lot of meetings. So several months after the start of the project, I asked all the people in that project, how do they feel about the frequency of the meetings they have? And it turned out that some people felt overwhelmed by the meetings. And others said that level of the meetings is just fine. Which just proved the old rule that the same fact could be seen from different people differently. But didn't answer the question, are the meetings okay? The quality of the meetings. And in general, do they like the meetings? And I was wondering, how about the people in this room? Do we like the meetings or not? So have you ever felt happy about a meeting? For example, you have been blocked for weeks, and in this particular meeting, something happened that unblocks you, and you can continue. Or some important decision for your work has been taken, or you met an interesting person. How many of us felt happy or good about a meeting? Okay, probably 1/3 of the room. And how about being sick of a meeting? Yeah, obviously you can vote more than once. Half of the room said that sometimes they feel, oh no, not that again. And how about being angry after the meeting or in the meeting? That angry that you want to break something to relieve some of the tension. Okay. So, as you can see, from the result of this short poll, we can decide that the answer of the question, do we like meetings or not, is only one. And the answer is, it depends. And of course it depends, no wonder, but it depends from what? So let's do a short history slide. This book has been released in the year of 1965, and it became bestseller. So at the time when my parents were children, the problem existed. And the author of this book said that bad meetings are in fact indicators of deeper problems in the organizations. And those problems generate real human suffering in the form of anger, lethargy, and cynicism. All strong words. But in order to fight the meetings, the bad meetings, to do something about to improve them, we have to know the real problem about them. And it is that meetings, according to this gentleman, are boring and ineffective. I don't know how many of us agree with that, but this happens all the time. So he suggested four types of meetings and how to conduct them, how often, who to invite, and so on and so on. A lot of time passed since then, and the problem didn't disappear. But a lot of research has happened, and we know more about it. In the year of 2005, Microsoft showed internal research, thank you, that their employees said that 37% of the work time is unproductive. And ironically enough, the number one reason for this unproductivity is the software they use. Yeah, we can make a lot of jokes around that, but those of us who work for huge organizations know that the price for being big sometimes is inefficiency. But the number two problem, people said that those are the meetings. They have a lot of meetings in their calendars, and exactly 5.6% of the hours per week. And 71% of those people say that 5.5 hours of those meetings are time lost, which leaves only 1/10 of an hour, which is 6 minutes of effective meeting. In 2012, Harvard Business Review quotes a German research, who surveyed a lot of senior management, and they said, again, majority of them said that meetings are unproductive and ineffective. 2 years later, Sharp shared with us that 10% of their employees actually invented the reason to go out of the meeting. It was so boring that they felt, I have to do something else. And last, Atlassian, there is a page. Atlassian gathered modern time wasters, and you can see the section for the meetings. They calculated that a lot of people, they dreamed during the meeting, thinking of something else, missed intentionally or by accident a meeting, slept during the meeting. Half of us are overwhelmed by the meetings we have. 73% of us do other work during the meeting, and almost half of us say that this is the biggest time waster of our time. They calculated this cost to US economy 37 billion a year. But still, there is a reason to have meetings. And you have meetings in your organization, you probably have a good reason to have meetings. And I hope that these reasons are not written in this. If you see this poster in your office kitchen, then you have to be sure that something about the way you meet has to be changed. Somebody became sarcastic. But now serious. I've read a lot of articles and advices how to do meetings, and pulled for you the four most common reasoning to have a meeting. And the first one is to inform the people. So looking for or giving information is the first reason we hold meeting. Second is to invent something. We often gather together to combine our various expertise and opinion to invent new ways of doing something. On a third place, I put to achieve agreement of something. We can agree about what's the cause of the problem, how to continue, to create common purpose or goal. And last but not least, to decide something. For example, making a plan for the next 2 weeks. So, in order to make this more interactive, do you have phones with internet? No? Okay, anyone else in the room? I'm asking you because I would ask you to use it. People say that there are things about the meetings who can ruin them. So I put 20 of them. And I will ask you to go to slido.com, write this MPK code, which stands for Meeting People Kills, and vote. Until you do that, I'll go and show the results live on the board. And I prepared myself to do the same. Ta-da! It works, which is the good news. So I will be thankful to you if you share your opinion about which of those 20 you see as bad things we can have in the meeting. Okay, we have a leader. Not anymore. My plan is to go through those that you find most annoying and to discuss them. So 70, 80 people. How many tickets you sold? 1,000. Oh. $700. Okay, let's see how many people would like to share their opinion. Sorry. Are we happy with the amount of people? Do we feel that this is representative? Yeah? Okay. So I was thinking to go through each one of those in a descending order in the way you rated them. But on a second look, I saw that some of them can be grouped because the problem behind them is the same. So if you remove the problem, you might remove the annoying things. So let me see again. All of those will be discussed in the further slides. So here's the first one. Let me go back. People come late. Quite common in Bulgaria, right? What are 5 minutes in the meeting? So why this happens? Well, because somebody decided that there's something more valuable to do instead of going to the meeting on time, or more important, I don't know, or more fun. I just have to finish my table tennis game and I'll go to that meeting. Also, this could be a problem when the meetings are long. When meetings are long, people feel that they can catch up in the meeting. So 5 minutes late is not a big of a problem. But if you come 5 minutes late in your daily review, in daily status meeting, it will be over. So, should we address this problem? I would. And how? Just start a meeting. Don't wait for them. Or make the meeting shorter. But if you feel that something about this should be changed, please be on time. You have to be on time in order to change the behavior of others. Secondly, quite important, I believe, is there is no agenda. It was quite high in our list. You can see it on your phones still. No agenda means no goal. We don't have a purpose in these meetings. How often do you sit down and do some code, and when somebody asks you, what are you doing? Nothing, just coding randomly. And what it will do? I don't know. Whatever comes. Not very common, right? So, the meeting should have an agenda. And we have to ask for the agenda. If you receive an invitation for a meeting without an agenda, well, ask for it. The people that create meetings have idea why they gather this group. And if you ask them, they will tell you. And just ask for the purpose. What is your role? What's expected from you? How to prepare? And if you do this quite often, I can guarantee to you that at some point the organizers will start sending the agenda instead of answering you 10 times in a row. So persistence is the key. Many and various topics. This is also something that can make us hate meetings. But this could be really a result of having no agenda, because everybody feels that he or she needs to bring his topic or her topic and try to sneak it into discussion so the things go on. Well, this could be the problem. Or you could have a dedicated slot. Every Wednesday for 2 hours, we talk about the stuff that happened in the week. And no wonder, they get various, they get too many. If this works for you, and you manage to cover them all, no problem. But I often see having too many topics, like mixing alcohol. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. And when it does not, it's epic fail. Sorry? I don't get that. Uh-huh. So, how to change that if you need? Well, complain to the organizer. Suggest a solution. But don't just complain and say, well, too many topics doesn't work for me. And you will be asked, how is that? And you have to be ready to answer this question. The problem itself is not that there are too many topics. There's something else. And you have to know what bothers you and suggest it. Shortened meetings usually fix this problem. Too many participants? As we saw so far, no agenda. Everyone tries to get his problem or her problem resolved. And everybody comes in. Or it could be a habit. We created the meeting in the beginning of the project. This was a kickoff list of the attendances. And then nobody cares to clear it out, to put new people, to remove people that are not interested. We, as humans, believe that we understand the way meetings work. But that's not true. Meetings are just a tool. And we master it in time. And we learn how to create them and who to invite and how to conduct them to have better results. Should we address that? I would advise so. It's, after all, respect of everyone's time. Ask the organizer if your presence is needed. If it is not, you might be left to leave the meeting or not to come to the meeting. But definitely this will raise the question, are all the participants are needed? Next one, topics concern only few of the participants. Well, no wonder. So far what we got, too many and various topics, too many participants. Well, of course, at some point there will be topics that you do not care, really. And again, it's time wasted. And sometimes you can be tired of listening for topics that do not concern you. And I would advise, again, ask the guys if it is needed. You can also complain that you get very tired about having too many people in the room and so on, and ask them to resolve a problem they initially created. So there will be the heroes for the problem they created. But anyway, if it works for you, if it does the job, doesn't matter. Unfocused discussion could be a result of all those that we discussed. But we all know people who stray from the topic. Do we know such people? Starting for talking one thing, second thing, third thing, and from nowhere, a fourth thing comes. And you don't know why this happens. If these people are talking for stuff that are really beneficial for you, for example, explaining the business or how a particular model works, it might be quite worthy. Embrace it. But if it is all the time blah blah and how they spend their vacation in Timbuktu, cut it out. I don't care. Really, I don't care. And you can ask the group to go back to agenda. Well, for example, can we go back to the initial topic that we discussed? Or you could be more mean, for example, how this relates to the topic that we're discussing right now. It's up to you. But anyway, you have to know, if you're going to bring the group back on track, it will be that you're the fun breaker. So you have to take it consciously. Nobody will like you at some point. It will pay off in time, because after all, you will make the meeting goes further and be valuable. But initially, you'll have this badge, fun breaker. People do not pay attention. Really? I'm not interested in this topic. They're talking all the time. And I don't think that I should be here. So it happens as a result of all those before that. Organizers, please do take care about that. This is feedback for how you set up the meetings. Real feedback. Somebody sitting in a room of your meeting, looking in their phone, this means you did a terrible job creating and conducting these meetings. If you're a participant and those people do not really do something that to harm your experience in the meeting, and you get what you need from the meeting, I wouldn't care. But if those same people are in your team and afterwards you have to explain them what has been said in the meeting and then to explain them how to do their job, I would encourage you to tell them, well, guys, this topic concerns all of us. Let's focus for a second. Key people are missing. This is a big one. We all like to think that we take decisions based on information. And trying that, we most often do that. But if we take information based on contemporary facts and accurate facts, that is priceless. Who can bring this information? Experts. Very often, experts are not on the meetings. And to bring somebody else in the meeting is quite difficult sometimes, because meetings tend to go the way they are, with the same participants, with the usual agenda. And to bring somebody new with a different perspective sometimes can be hard, especially if this is manager's meeting and you want to bring an expert. This means that we are not qualified. So we will need somebody else to tell us what to do. But as Steve Jobs said, well, we hire smart people not to tell them what to do, but that they tell us what has to be done. So I prepared for you a scene from the movie Hidden Figures to illustrate how hard it could be to bring an expert into the meeting. The time is during the space race, when Americans and Russians are competing for the space. They did all the math for the trajectories by hand, which is huge amount of work on paper. And if something changes, this work starts again. Enjoy it.
What's happening here?
Mr. Harrison, I would like to attend today's briefing.
Why is that?
Well, sir, the data changes so fast. The capsule changes, the weight and the landing zones are all changing every day. I do my work, you attend these briefings, I have to start over. Colonel Glenn launches in a few weeks. We don't have the man figured out yet.
Why is it she can't attend?
Because she doesn't have clearance, Al.
I cannot do my work effectively if I do not have all of the data and all of the information as soon as it's available. I need to be in that room hearing what you hear.
Pentagon briefings are not for civilians. It requires the highest clearance.
I feel like I'm the best person to present my
You're not
calculations.
gonna let this
in
go, are you?
No, I am not.
And she is a woman. There is no protocol for a woman
Okay,
attending
I
these
get
meetings.
that part, Paul. But within these walls, who makes the rules?
You, sir, you are the boss. You just have to act like one, sir.
You keep quiet.
Thank you.
So they are in the meeting. But you can see, it could be rules. It could be the way it is. So sometimes it's difficult to bring somebody new. So if you see that the topics that will be discussed will require somebody else's experience, please raise a flag. This can bring a lot of difference. I would advise you to look through the whole scene after that and see what could be the effect of having an expert in the meeting. But also, two different kind of people can be missing on a meeting. The decision makers and the people on the field could miss their representative. And this is also not very good. Why is that? Most of the communication in the organization goes from people on the field to the decision makers and the other way around. And because not everyone could attend each meeting, here's what managers do: conveying the messages. But they alter it. Why they do that? Because different people are interested in different things. And when your initial message is not formulated in a way that the other guys would understand it, somebody in the middle has to massage it a little bit, to form it, and they alter it eventually. But this sometimes is bad because they twist it a little bit, and details are going away. So my advice would be to think of the person that should accept your message at the end, and try to form it in a way that is suitable for that person. The easiest thing for your managers would be not to change the message, but just transport it the way it is, if it is okay. So, think about the message and what the other guys are looking for. Usually, the guys at decision level are interested in status, deadlines, and cost. And we on the field are interested in what would be the technology, the point of contact, who we can call if something gets wrong, resources, where is that server or that server, and so on and so on. So think of the other guy that will receive your message. People are unprepared. The next one. Well, for God's sake, people, do prepare. It will be the same amount of time to prepare before the meeting and then just shoot what's the result. Instead of sitting in a meeting and say, what was this? It should be that way. I'm pretty sure it's less accurate if you invent the solution in the meeting instead of being prepared. You know the agenda, hopefully. You know the agenda. And I believe it affects results. And how to do that? That's tricky. You can be example. You can be an example and say, well, I did my research, and from what I found, I think that this is that way, and that way, and that way, and that way. Or you can suggest to drop a topic. Well, obviously, we're not ready to discuss this one because we don't know A, B, C, and so on. Let's have somebody dig in it, and then we can have a fruitful discussion. Someone talks all the time. There are people monopolizes the meeting. If those people that would like to stray, that's good. We know how to handle them. We just say, go back to the topic. If it is your boss, then it's tricky. If you're gathered to hear the next great, brilliant idea, I don't know. It could be tricky. Should we address that? I think so. And how to address it? Well, gently, obviously. And you can rely on agenda again. How this relates to the agenda? Can we go back? I get confused how we came to here, and so on and so on. But it's your decision, really. Depends what kind of boss you have. And the last one. We went through half of the list that you had in your poll. Meetings length. I never heard a person complaining about a meeting that ended earlier. All of us complain when the meetings go on and on and on and on. So, this definitely speaks about the way we plan the meetings. The guys that organize the meeting could not sense the right amount of time or right amount of topics. It happens sometimes. If it's quite often, I would advise you to do something. If it is very rare and the discussion really brings value, and after such kind of long meeting, you are 2-3 steps ahead in your project, just embrace it. But if it is all the time, you can simply start asking a question 15 minutes before the meeting ends. You can start a question. Obviously, we're not going to complete everything, and we have 15 minutes. What will be the focus of our discussions? This is pretty valid, and it's okay. Or you can invent a reason to go out. I had planned to complete something in the last 2 hours of the day. Can I go? Or something like that. You have to decide. You can suggest dropping items so you can have another meetings. So, we saw how to fix some of the meetings, but there's something that we have to know. Meetings cannot fix poor communication. Poor communication happens when people do not think about the recipients of their messages. Poor communication happens when you're more busy to express yourself than to think to the people that need to understand what you're talking. So meetings is only one media that communication goes, but it is not the communication itself. Secondly, meetings cannot get the work done. My favorite thing is when I ask for status, how far we are with this task? We spoke with IT. So, well, they took the job. Well, how far we are? What's the status? And the conversation continues, but you don't want to know how. So, the work gets done when you work, not when you have meetings. This is the way it is. And last, meetings are not trainings or speeches. They sometimes are used for that, but the nature of trainings and speeches is different than the meetings. So I would suggest to you, put it in a different box in your mind, and you would have far much better meetings. My ideal meeting would be sharp and focused, with clear agenda and purpose, and all the people in the room would bring value. So people that are wandering through the office and accidentally fall in the room and say, you have a nice meeting, may I stay, have few words? Well, yeah, of course. Really? No. Go on. That meeting is not for you. And also, I would advise short meetings and to do it often. And last, at the end of the meeting, you have to have some result. Would it be action for you, for me, for you, for him, for her? Doesn't matter. Or a decision. We are going to do this in that manner in the future. I would like to think that this will help you improve your meetings. But how to improve it? You can become a moderator in a meeting. It is not said, by default, it's the organizer, but it is not said that only organizers can be moderators. You, with your comments, can influence where the discussion goes. You, with your example, can show how the things should be done. Remember the scene from the movie? Who was owning the situation? You're the boss, sir. Right? So she was owning the conversation, and she achieved what she wanted. You can do comments, of course. Be very careful, but do react. When you see something that is not going on, and it could be a huge difference if you change it, well, do react. Offline discussions. For God's sake, if you see something and you want to change it, go with the organizer, with the people with authority, and suggest what to be changed, how and why. Be example, definitely. If you want people to come on time, be on time. And last, take it on you. If somebody doesn't want to make meeting minutes, and you believe that this would help enormously to the group, well, do the meeting minutes yourself. What will happen? After all, you requested it. So you should believe that this will work. Try it. Try it yourself. And to help you more with that, I turned the last 2 slides. See? Those 2 slides. I turned them into a Google form. So you can take it with you for the next month or so and try it in your organization. Try if those things could be changed. Can you use one of those techniques to do it? And I would be very glad if you tell us how you did it, what works for you. And in a month, I will put the results in my LinkedIn profile, and you would know how we did as a group. Until then, till the late afternoon, I would be at Nemetschek stand, and if you want to reach me, I'll be there for you. Thank you very much.
That was great. Now we got like 5 minutes for questions. There is a question at the
I
back.
didn't expect that.
Here you are.
What do I do with this?
Speak here. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Leslie Spiro from.
No, the devices doesn't work.
Should I just shout?
Could be.
I'm Leslie Spiro from Technology 2. I think an important issue is telephone meetings versus face-to-face meetings. Because face-to-face, there's a lot of information.
The telephone meetings are different than meetings in person. And my suggestion to improve the telephone meetings, is this the question? Okay. So, I would rather say that agenda is very important for each meeting. And I would really suggest that keep them short in order to have people focused. Because my experience is mostly on telephone meetings. So I do believe that they behave pretty much the same way as the other meetings. Although I do not force this opinion to anyone, but my experience is they work the same way, pretty much. The only thing that you cannot do on online meeting is to chase somebody in the office and pull him into the meeting room and say, where are you? So the focus and agenda, I do believe that agenda and the action items after that are very important.
Great. More questions? Okay.
Hi. I have a quick question. So basically at my company, we take mini meeting minutes with Google Docs, and it's sort of chaotic to find out information about what happened in a meeting because people save it in different locations. So I was wondering if you have any suggestion as like a management tool or something for meeting minutes that could be used, or yeah.
We're using Confluence, Atlassian tool, but I don't see any reason to change your tool. If it works for you and the meeting minutes and the decisions and the action items are available for everyone, and especially if you can turn the action items into something that you can track after that, if it is done, everything works. Are you happy with the tool you're using? So. Well, it's the same way with every tool. It's so.
Great. 2 more minutes for one more question. Last question.
I would be available for you outside anytime if you don't have questions now, but something came to your mind.
Great. So once again, thank you,
Rado
Subby.
has a question.
Rado has a question. Oh.
Yeah, let's stay away from those things. I don't know how we say this in English. Speakers, yes. So how do you handle rebels in meetings? Let's
Rebels?
say, yeah, you have the perfect meeting set up, everyone's on time, everyone's focused, there's agenda, but there are people that kind of rebel against everything that's organized and want to see the meeting fail, for example. Do you have such experience?
Of course.
Thank you.
The problem is that those rebellious people do this rebel for something. They're not just here to break the meeting, just for fun. They're doing it because there's something else they want to show, and they don't know how to do it. And I often go to those people and say, why do you do that? What's behind it? What do you want to achieve? Because broken meeting doesn't help me, you, team, doesn't. So I would look beneath the surface, what causes this behavior?